What's up you guys, and welcome back to another video.
Everywhere I go, I'm plant-based dripping.
I really hope that the wind and the waves aren't messing up the sound too much. This is like the only quiet, private place that I found to film a video here. So I was requested to do a 4-year recovery update and talk about the changes that I've seen in my mindset, my body, and my diet over these past 4 years in recovery. I feel like so much has changed since the beginning of my recovery in December of 2015 to now December of 2019, and tomorrow will be January of 2020. It's so crazy to think about the mindset that I was in 4 years ago versus the mindset that I'm in now. 4 years ago, I feel like I was so anxious around food and I was so hyper-focused on my body. Even a few years into my recovery, I felt like I was still quite hyper-focused on food because I feel like it took me a long time to get out of a caloric deficit, get my body and mind to trust me again, and to develop a normal relationship with food again. Even a few years into my recovery, I felt like I was still always thinking about my next meal. I was still planning my food. I was still counting calories. Even though I wasn't restricting my food in any way and I wasn't over-exercising, I was still very hyper-focused on food. And it was because I was also so focused on recovery and like wanting to do it right and wanting to heal, which made me still keep my focus on food and my body. Whereas now, I honestly feel one of the reasons that I haven't been posting a lot of recovery-related videos is because I honestly feel pretty sick and tired of talking about recovery and food at the moment. I feel like I've just been a little bit burnt out from making recovery and food related videos because it's just not what I'm focused on anymore. Lately, I feel like I've been going through a little bit of a struggle because I can't decide what direction I want to take, because I've seen how much I can help people by talking about diet and eating disorder recovery, but yet at the same time, I've always really loved more creative stuff like painting, photography, videography, design, fashion. So that's kind of what my energy has been directed towards lately. Sorry, there's lots of wind right here. Lately I've been a lot more called to travel and to paint and to focus my energy on more creative endeavors. But I've also been struggling because I feel like I really want to do something that's going to make a difference in people's lives, and I feel like doing diet and eating disorder recovery is what allows me to really help people and make a difference in others' lives. And I feel like I've been struggling to make a decision on what path I want to take for this past year, and I really haven't come to any decisions. I feel like I just need to pick something and then go full force at it. Anyways, that's going on a little bit of a tangent. Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that has helped me with my recovery over these past 4 years has been consistency. And that has been consistency of unrestricted eating, the consistency of listening to my body and allowing myself to rest, the consistency of getting enough sleep every night, and the consistency of overall just being kind to myself. So even if I messed up one day, just getting back on track and not beating myself up about it and just getting right back on the recovery wagon the next day. Other than that, I would say this year the biggest thing that has helped me in my recovery has been stopping calorie counting. For most of my recovery out of the 4 years, I was counting calories, and that was primarily because for so many years I thought that calorie counters were accurate and that I had to eat the amount of calories that chronometer told me to eat, and I wanted to prove to myself that it was possible to lose weight without a caloric deficit according to chronometer and my Fitbit, because I lost all of my weight eating in a caloric surplus according to my Fitbit and chronometer. I ate a minimum of a net of 2,400 calories, which is 700 calories over my supposed net maintenance. So not only did I not gain weight, not only did I not maintain my weight, but I lost all of my weight eating in a caloric surplus. But after I finished my experiment, finally quit calorie counting for good at the beginning of this year, and that has been one of the biggest things that's helped me with my recovery this year, because even though I was doing my best to just count calories objectively and not give the number any significance and not influence the way that I ate whatsoever, I still felt like that I wasn't fully in tune with my body because I was counting calories. So since stopping counting calories, I have gotten so much more in tune with my body and my hunger signals, and it has just felt so incredibly freeing to not have to count calories, weigh my food, and track my movement every day. So since doing that, I feel like that it has released a lot of stress for me in my life. For about 2 years in recovery, I had been maintaining the same weight, and then I finally lost the remaining 10 pounds once I stopped counting calories, and once I also addressed my lack of iodine issue. So I would say that's the third biggest thing that helped me in my recovery, was discovering what deficiencies I had and addressing those deficiencies. I think a lot of people, when they enter recovery, they have to recover from not only an energy deficit, but also a vitamin and mineral deficit. Because when you are starving yourself, if you're not getting enough calories, you're also not going to be getting enough vitamins and minerals in your diet. That's why it's so important to get a blood test, pay attention to what symptoms you have so that you can go to your doctor and they can help you address what vitamin or mineral deficiencies you may have. Unfortunately, I went to my doctor and she was not very helpful in helping me realize what deficiencies I had. I had to figure it out on my own and address it on my own. But once I finally figured out what it was with the help of my mom and dad and addressed it, that massively improved my health, and I lost the remaining 10 pounds, and I just started feeling a lot better overall. I would say those three things, just the consistency of living an overall healthy lifestyle, stopping counting calories, and addressing the deficiency that I had, all massively helped me in my recovery. Even if you're not at the place that you feel like you want to be at yet, you might be doing everything right now. You might be eating in a way that's enjoyable for you and that makes you feel your best. You might be getting lots of sleep every night, staying hydrated, doing things that excite you every day, working on your relationships and feeling loved and connected, yet you may not be where you want to be yet with your relationship with food, or maybe you are still holding on to your overshoot weight. But honestly, a lot of people are doing everything right and they just have to stay consistent with it. Consistency is so key, because I remember being at my highest weight, you know, feeling like I was doing everything right, and I felt like, you know, because always in the past I felt like I had to do something drastic in order to lose weight. I had to be hungry all the time, or I had to like be way over exercising in the gym, or force myself to run every day. But honestly, you don't have to do these drastic, crazy things in order to lose weight or to naturally go back down to your set point. Just by finding a way of eating that felt really good, and by taking care of myself, basically, by doing all the things that we know to do in order to live a healthy lifestyle, by doing those things consistently, I gradually started to lose weight by doing these things consistently. I would say my exercise has pretty much stayed the same in the past few years, except the only thing is that I quit dance earlier this year, and I actually think that that was helpful for my recovery as well, because I think I was kind of overdoing it with dance and I was almost overworking my body sometimes. It actually really helped to let my body relax a little bit and just do a lot more gentle movement, such as just light walking and light stretching and a few body weight exercises here and there. I feel like so often we feel like we have to like really get exhausted with exercise in order to make any difference in our physique, but sometimes I think the best movement that we can do is just gentle, relaxing movement, such as yoga or walking. I think those are some of the best exercises for the body because they are gentle and non-stressful. So I've talked about mindset and how much my mindset has changed in these last 4 years in terms of my anxiety around food and where my focus is. I also just used to feel a lot more anxious and depressed frequently, whereas now I feel like I get anxious way less often than I used to. I still have issues with overthinking things sometimes, but I feel like my mental health has improved massively since I began recovery. I would say that my mental health has improved drastically compared from 4 years ago. And it was still pretty bad throughout recovery, and it really took 2 to 3 years in recovery before I started seeing a massive difference in my anxiety and my overall mental health. I think it was because I not only worked on healing my body during those 4 years in recovery, but I also worked on doing things that helped to increase my confidence over these 4 years, such as pushing myself outside my comfort zone, socializing. Actually, one of the biggest things is that at the beginning of my recovery, I was so antisocial and so socially awkward. So in terms of my mental health, one of the biggest differences that I've seen in my recovery has been my social anxiety and my overall anxiety that has improved. I feel like improving my overall health and getting out of a caloric deficit, getting enough sleep and rest has really helped with my general anxiety. But then also in my recovery, I not only worked on healing my physical body, but also healing my mind has really helped with my social anxiety and overall confidence. Over these past 4 years, I've really put my energy towards pushing myself outside of my comfort zone, getting myself to go out and socialize, connect with people, make friends, and work on my communication skills. I remember at the beginning, like 4 years ago, I would go out and try to socialize with people and make friends, and I would force myself to do it. And at the beginning, I was just so socially awkward and so nervous. Whereas now, it's come like a million miles where like I'm no longer nervous to go out and socialize. I'm no longer so incredibly awkward and nervous around people. So it's just crazy to think about the difference from where I was then versus where I am now. So I hope that this is like encouraging to those of you who are also very shy and feel socially awkward, that you can massively change your life and you can massively improve your social skills and your confidence if you work on it every single day. So other than my mindset and my mental health, obviously the other biggest one that has changed has been my physical body. One of the craziest things to me is that I am now stronger and leaner than I was when I was severely restricting calories and over-exercising. I used to think that restricting calories and exercising was my key to getting strong and lean, but who knew that it was actually eating an abundance of plant foods and just moving my body in a way that's enjoyable and non-stressful was the key to me being healthy and strong. So yeah, it's just crazy to me that I weigh less than I did when I was chronic dieting, over-exercising, and restricting calories. So it really just goes to show me you don't have to diet and you don't have to exercise in order to be at your healthiest, happiest weight range. So one last thing that has changed has been my food choices. I would say that at the beginning of my recovery, I was still very focused on clean eating, and I still had a lot of anxiety around eating anything processed or anything considered a junk food, whereas now I will eat anything that's vegan. I also, at the beginning of my recovery, I was more focused on like eating high carb and eating very low fat and eating very low protein, whereas now I really could not care less how much fat, protein, or carbohydrates are in a meal. All that I care about is how something is going to make me feel. I would say that I eat a lot more processed foods and I eat a lot more junk foods than I did even just a few years ago. I just feel like I've totally 100% been able to embrace intuitive eating and just eating what I crave in the moment. I just like fully feel like I'm a normal eater now, which is totally crazy to me because 4 years ago I never ever thought that I could be a normal eater in a million years. I thought that I always would have to rely on calorie counting and exercising and being super in control of everything in order to be considered a normal eater. But that's just not true at all. I don't really eat like set meals at all. I honestly never have my whole time in recovery. I know that if you go to a traditional dietitian in recovery, you know, you're gonna be eating a set breakfast, lunch, dinner, and 3 snacks. But since the beginning of my recovery, it's just been 100% free eating, which is completely my way of recovery. I just had to let go of all control and just eat whatever, whenever in my recovery. And I still do that to this day. I never have, oh, it's 9 o'clock, it's time to eat breakfast. Oh, it's 12 o'clock, it's time to eat lunch. I will eat at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m. I will eat every hour of the day if I need to, if I'm hungry. Some days I might eat 3 big meals, and some days I might eat 7 small meals throughout the day. It's very different every single day. I also don't put any restrictions on when I have to stop eating. I frequently eat at 11 p.m. at night. I don't follow any rules such as don't eat past 6 p.m. or any of this nonsense, in my opinion. That's all that I have to say for this video. It's just a quick 4-year recovery update video, and just sharing what has changed in these past 4 years. Let me know if you have any questions at all in the comments down below. January, which is tomorrow, marks 2 years of my eating disorder and diet recovery support group that I have on Facebook. So for those that want more support through their diet and eating disorder recovery journeys, I do have a private Facebook support group as well as one-on-one email support offered through my Patreon. But just keep in mind, this is like a very affordable service that you get to choose how to use. So I don't have any set guidelines or outline or plan for you. It's purely you asking for support or you asking your questions when you need your questions answered. So the support group and the email support is whatever you make it. You can use it however little or however much you want. So if you have lots of questions or you need some support and guidance throughout your recovery, then I highly recommend checking out my support group and or one-on-one email support, which is offered through my Patreon. The people that support me on Patreon also really encourage me to continue making diet and eating disorder recovery related videos. It really means so much to see that my videos are helpful for you or that they make a difference for you. I quickly want to give a shout out to Amy. Amy is supporting me on Patreon, so I just want to say thank you so much to you, Amy. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day. Don't forget to be kind to yourselves. Until next time, peace out, guys. Bye.
Everywhere I go, I'm plant-based, dripping. Got 'em, woke the new Bruce Lee. Roy, I got the glow. Kicking knowledge to your chick, I let her swim until she soaked.